Hi, this is James Rankin with the Moody Group, an American National Life Insurance Company of Texas, and I want to welcome everybody to this very special WebEx presentation on perfecting persuasion. Now, we have got people from all over the country. I want to thank you for taking time out, and it is my objective to make a major impact in your life today. And I really believe so. I believe that we're going to be able to share ideas that will change your ability to persuade others into obviously buying life insurance, annuities, pension plans, health insurance, whatever industry you're in. This is going to be one of those rare presentations that really applies to every single industry, every single product line that exists. So, with that in mind, I want to go ahead and let you know that we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Now, before I get started, let me make sure that my headphone is working and that you guys can hear me clearly. If you can't, do me a quick favor. Where it says questions, if you guys have any questions at all, just simply hit that question on the right-hand side, indicate the questions. The first question is from me to you. How am I coming in? If I'm coming in loud and clear, please let me know that. All right. Now, before we get started, let me tell you briefly about the Moody Group. Moody Insurance Group is a very unique organization. We are a quasi-IMO insurance company. We're a top IMO with National Western Life. We're also a top IMO for American National Life Insurance Company. But we also design products for American National Life Insurance of Texas. And we've just introduced a brand new product, an LGO product. Now, I'm not going to go in detail about the product, but what I want to do is adapt my presentation to that product, so as we talk about persuasion, I'll be able to skew some of my comments to that particular product in the company. And Bob, thank you very much for letting me know I am coming in loud and clear. Now, as we get started, what I'm going to do is I really want to share ideas and make you part of the presentation. So let's do a little self-assessment right now, and I'd like to just ask you a bold question. Now, of your persuasive abilities, what percentage do you think you utilize of your persuasion ability? 5%, 10%? What's the number? And indicate that on there if you will, just on a piece of paper. Let's say it's 15%. Okay. Now, on the opposite side of the page, I want you to indicate how much income you earn. Because here it is in a nutshell. It is my belief that the more utilization of your products, meaning your persuasive ability and your other skill sets, the higher your income is going to be. And believe it or not, you can increase dramatically. Most businesses have a hard time with a 10 or 15% growth rate. You as an individual can have triple, quadruple utilization of your ability. So let's say you went to 30% of your persuasive ability. What does that mean in income? Could it mean $175,000? I believe it can, and that's why you're here. It was Maslow who said every human being has an inkling towards self-improvement. And that's what we're talking about. That's why I love this industry, because every one of us realizes the better we get, the more income we attract, the more products that we can sell, and the greater lifestyle we can have and better service for our clients. Now, this is a quote that I've used all my career, and it's something that many of you use as well. No one ever gave credit to John Beckley, but he came up with this. Most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Now, we use this in financial planning, we use it with insurance, but I think we need to use it in our own self-development. So if we're not planning to get better, we're contracting. I really believe that. And there's a quote that I used to say, an affirmation, that is, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And I hope you can utilize that as well. In fact, it's my firm conviction that there is more of you. And when you become more, you attract more. It's just that simple. Got a few other quotes I'm going to share with you before we jump into the actual meat of it. I love sports. I played sports as a young guy, as many of you probably did as well. Coach Bear Bryant. And he said something profound. It's not the will to win that matters. Everybody has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. And so that's what you and I are doing today. We are preparing for the victory in the future. What's a victory? The victories are in Excel. But we're preparing now by gathering great ideas, and you're going to learn some things I hope will make a difference. Now, I'm going to put the court with you, and I'm going to ask you a question. That is, if you got something very unique out of this meeting, I want you to email me at jamesr@moodygroup.com. Let me know what it was specifically, because I'm like you. I need good feedback. I want to know we're making impact. But I'm thoroughly convinced that this type of training works. I've trained hundreds of financial advisors. I know the impact that can be had if you follow these instructions, and there's no doubt. All right, let's move on from here. What is persuasion? Let's talk about that for a second. Now, before I talk about persuasion, let's talk about consciousness. We're all conscious, are we not? And in order to be the best we can be, we have to have pure consciousness. So what is consciousness? Consciousness really is perception, right? It's how you see life. It's also cognition, how we think about what we see. And then the other component of consciousness is the ability to control behavior. Think about that. So having said that, what is persuasion? Persuasion is the ability to alter a person's opinion, their attitude, and their behavior. Now follow me on this one. The better we get at selling, the better we're going to get at being able to persuade people to sell more. That's the key. So that's what we're really hoping can take place, is can we persuade? How effective are we at persuasion? Let me just share this with you. Persuasion is a learned behavior. We're not born with persuasion. And that's one of the things I do when I train brokers, to let them know that everything that we do is a learned behavior. Sure, there are people that have propensity toward specific skill sets, but it is my conviction that we can all be persuasive people. We can be more persuasive. And I'm going to show you what I call as a histogram that can make a huge difference in your presentation. I've worked with guys who've been in the industry 30 years who said, this is the first time that I know where I am every step of the way. And when I first got in the industry, I'll be frank with you, I winged it many times, because you go in there, you're confident, you know your product, but we miss out. And so I am a huge fan of scripting. And I think that helps you become more persuasive, because you're focused on the client versus what you're going to say. What's next? And I wrote a book back in '96, believe it or not, called The Magic of Method Selling. It really is unique, and it talked about the importance of understanding what we're going to say, and also, more importantly, how we say it, because that in itself helps with persuasion. So once again, what is persuasion? It's the ability to alter your prospects' opinion, their attitude, and their behavior. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is persuasion. It was Vince Lombardi, and I love this quote. Perfection is not obtainable, but if we chase perfection, we catch excellence. And that's the key. We're not going to be perfect, but by striving for perfection, we arrive at excellence. And I believe it was Errol Stardo who said that we are what we think, therefore, excellence is not an act, rather it is a habit. So if we get into the habit of trying to do the best that we can be, that's going to give us the opportunity to be excellent insurance brokers. In fact, let's move on from here. I want to define potential. When I first got in this industry, just like you did, everybody said, hey, you've got unlimited potential. I couldn't grasp that. I just thought it was Pollyanna. It was cotton candy. What is potential? Well, now that I'm in this position and I've worked with hundreds of brokers, I can tell you this, that when somebody says, what is their potential, I can tell them without a shadow of a doubt. If you're talking about income potential, our best broker did $556,000 in commissions. I have it documented. And here's the good news. He's not any smarter than you or I. He's a guy who gets it done. And as my father used to always tell me, it's not what you do, it's what you get done. He gets it done. He follows up. He knows his product, but more importantly, he knows his clients. He is probably the most subtle, but the most persuasive man that I know, and he does extremely well. And so what I want to do today is define what the high net worth producers are doing. And once again, I'd like to say I was at the elite when I was a producer. I wasn't. I made six figures. I did well, but I wasn't the top of the table guy. I was a young guy in the industry and did very well, enjoyed it. But as they say, if I knew then what I know now, wow. Good news is you are in the right place at the right time, and you can earn tremendous amounts of more income for you and your family. But once again, defining potential. Potential is where you are now compared to where you want to be or where that top person in your industry is. That is potential. And our job is to unfold potential by getting better and better and by learning every day. And here's something else, guys, and this is why you're here. One idea can revolutionize how you do business. I believe that. And it is my hope that you'll get that one idea today that changes everything. And it will do. Here we go. Edward Deming, I don't know how many people are familiar with Edward Deming. He came up with a concept called total quality management. And this is what gave me the idea of the persuasion process. And I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. But here's what he thought. He said if you do a histogram, basically flow charting your activity, how can you have defects? If you do A, B, C, D, it should be perfect harmony. And that's exactly what I believe the persuasion process should entail. It should be a perfect flow of ideas, of interactions, with give and take, with questions, to arrive at the consequence of a successful histogram, which is a sell. So we're going to go through that here in just a few minutes, but I want to kind of lead up to it by sharing some of the great minds out there that can motivate us and inspire us to go to higher levels of productivity. And I call this the elements of persuasion or perfecting persuasion. What we are looking to do, guys, is to create the perfect circuit. As you know, in energy, you've got kinetic and you've also got dormant or potential. And that's what we're doing now. We're moving into motion. And what we want to do in the persuasion process is to create momentum. So as you see, as I build, we'll have the natural internal momentum leading towards the sell and also toward bigger and better things even after that, which we'll go in detail. The first part is something that most people do not do correctly. And you know yourself, and I want us to be brutally honest with each other here. When you made the sell, think about the last sell that you made. How'd you do in the introduction stage? You executed perfectly, did you not? Now let's think about the sell you missed. Did you spend much time in this area? And I'm telling you, the introduction stage is the most overlooked stage of the persuasive process because we are so anxious to jump into the presentation. We're anxious to jump in, get the sell, and we miss out on the fundamental parts of persuasion, which is, first of all, and critically important for the overall flow of the process, and that is building affinity. We have to slow down. We have to realize that the most important thing in the entire world, being a little dramatic here, but I'm trying to make a point, the most important thing in the world at this point of time is that prospect. Am I focused on them? Am I listening to them? Do they know that I'm there for them? The first part of the persuasion process is really building affinity. And the easiest way to do that is to have a common person in mind. If any one of you guys on the call, I don't know a lot of you, there's some people on the call that I do know. If you call me and said, hey, Dr. Stowe asked me to give you a call, thought you'd be interested in talking to me. I don't care who you are, I would take that meeting. Why? Because I grew up with Dr. Stowe. Him and I have been friends since I was 10 years old. Extremely bright guy, good friend, cares about me, and I know that if he made a referral, that is going to be good information for me. So I would take that in a heartbeat. Now think about yourself. How many friends do you have that if some stranger called and dropped their name that you would not take that meeting? Now, I'm going to back up a second and say, how many calls do you make where you have no referral? They have no clue who you are. Are you not shortchanging yourself? Think about it. What if I called you out of the blue? Hi, this is James Rankin with American National. You wouldn't know who I was. But the fact is that we are spending time, and hopefully somebody would refer me to you to assist you in your operation to help you get to that next level. I would hope so, and it has happened, not as much as I like. So that's what you want to think about today. How persuasive are you in creating advocacy among other people? Now, does that not help the process? Sure it does. And so I want to drive that point home. Really work on the referral lead. Referrals are key, and at the very end I'm going to talk about referral training that we do. I've helped a lot of guys help create referral-based practices because my job is to turn that 80% prospecting and 20% selling into 80% selling, 20% prospecting. And that's what's going to make you the money that you need to have in order to operate your businesses. So once again, let's build affinity with people. How do I create a likeness? I believe I can create instant rapport with anybody, an instant affinity. Why? Because I'm going to focus in on what connects us. What connects us? You played sports, I played sports. Hey, you love tennis, I love tennis. You're a golfer, I'm a golfer. You're a Christian, I'm a Christian. You've been in the insurance industry, I'm in the insurance industry. All right? You have a hobby that I love. You've got kids, fantastic. I have nieces and nephews. So you find the commonality. You live in our neighborhood, I live in the neighborhood. You're from Texas, I'm from Texas. So how do we create the affinity? And there's a number of ways to do it. Commonalities, once again, are finding things that tie you together. When I'm in a person's office, it's so easy. Guys, look in your own office. What do you tell your client about yourself? If you came in my office, you'd see a lot of different pieces here that you could tap in on, whether it's the estate planning council, whether it's pachyderm, whether it's the colleges or a Toastmaster or sports memorabilia. There's just all sorts of stuff here that you could tap in on, and that's what we need to do before we jump into our presentations. I can't tell you how many people I've gone to, I've traveled with, that the first thing out of their mouth is, hey, how you doing? I'm James Rankin. Let me tell you about my product. Guys, that's a recipe for disaster. That's not persuasive. That's manipulation. And that's not the way we want to conduct business. So once again, I'm spending some time on this to drive home the point that we need to connect. In fact, I'll be so bold to say you can't continue your persuasive process unless you've connected that person. They have to see you as a person just like they are, a person who cares about them, and more of a consultant versus a salesperson. The diagnosis of a salesperson is someone who's trying to get something from somebody. And I always tell people that selling is something we do for people, not to people. And part of the persuasion process is I've got to get to know you. I've got to connect with you. I've got to understand why you think the way you think about certain products. Because if I can change that, I can change behavior. And that's what persuasion is. So, once again, prospect focus. It's not about you. I've sat in meetings before where I had a guy just rattle off his resume. I've been in the industry 45 years, top of the table. I've won awards. And the client's looking at me going, I could care less. What are you going to do for me? It's not about us, it's about them. So the key to persuasion is to focus your body language, your listening skills, and work within that framework, and that will give you results. Now, that moves us on to the second part of the persuasion process. The first, and I want to go methodically here because I want this to make impact with you. Introductions. And a lot of people say it's very simplistic. It's not. Not when you understand what's required. I cannot move to the next step unless I connect to that person. You're at a disadvantage. You're not gonna win. So connect to that person. Next is probing. Probing is defined as investigating thoroughly. Here's my question to each of you. What is your methodology in extracting information from your prospects? Think about that for a moment. You just ask blip questions. Do you have a risk tolerance that you go through? With DOL, guys, we're going to have to be a little more detailed here, aren't we? Asking pointed questions. And the art of asking questions is, in fact, one of our key components. In fact, I have for you, I'm not going to try to dangle this out there, but it's out there. I wrote a piece called The 25 Important Questions in a Sales Presentation. That's yours. If you get contract with our company, I'd be more than happy to provide that. But more importantly, when you become an agent, you'll have access to our checklist. I've designed a number of checklists that I think could be effective for you. The first one is, I call it the 30-point checklist for life insurance. So for you life insurance agents out there, it is a wonderful piece. And what you basically tell your clients or even your prospects is, I have a free service. You mentioned you currently have life insurance, and I congratulate you on that. I have a 30-point checklist I'll go over with you to make sure you have the most updated and the most innovative insurance product in the industry. And I believe we can help you with that. And what I'm referring to, guys, is the advent of living benefits. Now, most of you may have companies that have living benefits. I believe we have an advantage because we have all three living benefits. We have terminal, we have critical illness, which contains 16 different conditions, and we also have the chronic. So that's something that sets you apart in the market as you're talking about it. So you have the 30-point checklist. I have another piece that I did called the 25-point checklist for annuities. It's tremendous for you people that write annuities. You want to have this. I like it because it positions you as a consultant, which helps in your persuasion, because you're persuasive because you are helping them. You're not trying to get them to do something for you. That's why I'm a huge fan of the value-added proposition. And throughout this presentation, you'll hear me say, we have a free service. And that's what you want to tell your clients. I have a free service I do for prospects. It's called the 25-point checklist for annuities. And what I simply do is check to make sure you have the most updated annuity in the industry. And what are we talking about here? How about living benefits? How about the financial health of your company? How about structuring the annuity correctly? Many people don't know how to do that. So that's one of the services that you provide. And then lastly, we have a lot of people on this call that love pension plans. And as you know, we do a ton of 401ks, 412(e)(3s. We are the company to go to for that through our parent company, which is American National. I designed a piece called the 20-point checklist for pension plans. So as you're sitting down with a business owner, you say, hey, I've got a free service. It's a 20-point checklist. And you basically go through those questions and positions you as a consultant. You're simply getting information and helping people. We also have the retirement plan review, guys, that is fantastic. We take a look at their existing program and we say, hey, we can help you. We look at their admin costs, we look at their investment choices, we survey their servicing, and we're able to say, I think we can do better. And that's excellent. Now, of course, we're looking for small businesses, 50 and below. It is our sweet spot, and we can really make a difference. So how do you ask questions? And remember, prescription without diagnosis in the medical field is what? It's malpractice, and the same applies in our industry. And that's why it's so important, whether you're talking about DOL or Medicare or all the other programs, we have to diagnose and find out what's important to the person. And here's a question I love to ask. And guys, this is worth the time we spent together, just this one question, and that is, how do you make financial decisions, Bob? And you wait for the response. And if he says, my wife and I, we don't do anything without, you know what, she needs to be with us now. Can we put her on the phone? Can we, how about we reschedule? or my CPA. I don't do anything without my CPA, or my attorney, or my brother-in-law, or my brother. Find out, how do you make financial decisions? And that may be even a good question to ask before I even meet with somebody. How do you make financial decisions, Bob? Well, I usually work with my CPA. Let me ask you a question. We're going to meet on Thursday. Is there a possibility he could join us for that? You know what? Let me make a phone call. I'll tell you what, take you both to lunch afterwards. So, once again, it's asking questions. Here's the other thing about asking questions. When you are asking questions, you are directing the tempo of any presentation or any potential behavior. You are in charge. And that's why I love asking questions. Tell me about your practice. Tell me what you're focused on. And that way it gets you to open up. You're not being defensive. You're simply providing information. So that's a key. 2 types of question asking. One is open-ended, which, think about it, when you're talking to your prospect, how many questions are open-ended versus closed-ended? Are you asking just yes or no questions? And if you are, you're missing the boat. Being persuasive is getting them to open up, to understand not only the words they're saying, but the feeling behind those words and also the meaning behind the words. Guys, that's the deepest form of listening skills. I call it empathetic listening. I'm not only hearing your words, I'm focusing on the meaning behind the words and the feelings that you're sharing with me as you're saying those words. In order to be that kind of guy, I have got to be on the mark. It's like a highly seasoned athlete, a highly conditioned athlete that has the energy to focus on the client. That is the greatest compliment you can give somebody, is to totally focus. I can't tell you, and once again, I learned from the good, bad, and the ugly. But I've had brokers interrupt clients, finish their sentences. That's not the way to do it. That is so disrespectful. You don't have enough time to let the client even finish what they're saying? Come on. And you know what I'm talking about. And I'm saying, if you learn anything from this presentation, if you can learn to be a better listener, and I've actually wrote a book talking about the 4 degrees of listening, just one of the chapters. But it's amazing. Most of the brokers, I'm telling you, and I hate to criticize or generalize, but they're non-attentive listeners. It's all about what they want. They don't care. You could have any answer under the sea. It doesn't matter. I'm moving in this direction. That's not how it works. The answer you give me will simply change the course of my presentation. It really will. So think about that. That's the takeaway. Let's become better listeners, and let's ask more open-ended questions versus closed-end questions. Let's get them to talk about how they feel about what they want or what they've done. Now, so you're with me so far, right? We've got the intro. I've bonded with this person. I created affinity. I feel like there's a likeness between the two. I've asked them questions. I've qualified them. Guys, let me tell you the secret about questions before I get away from this. Do you realize if you do this correctly, you will get all your objections out in the beginning versus the end? And one question I used to ask that worked like magic was, at the end of the month when you've paid all your bills, roughly what percentage of your income is remaining? And what do we call that? Non-discretionary income. What percentage? 10, 15, 20%? If I get that number, I've got it. Because they cannot come back and say, I don't have enough money. They told me after they pay all their bills, they still have 20% of their salary, which equals $3,500 that they have total, absolute control of where that money goes. Do you see what I just did there? So once again, qualify. After I ask my questions, I know I have got a qualified candidate. I will proceed. If I don't, guess what? The persuasion process is over. If this person has told me they are in debt, they can't afford anything, why in the world would I put them through an entire presentation? I'm not going to do it. My time's too valuable. Your time's too valuable. So what do? You conclude, you get a referral, and you move on. But you will not go through a presentation with somebody who is not qualified. Now, if I'm sitting in front of you, hopefully you're qualified. But if I haven't done my homework initially, I will do my homework in that presentation through those questions, and I will know if I have a legitimate qualified candidate. All right. As we move on the presentation, the first thing we've got to address is concept. What is the concept? What am I selling? I'm selling life insurance. So the concept is, do you know how much money is needed for your family in case of your premature death? Do you know how you're going to pay for long-term care? Do you have adequate money if you're no longer able to work? Those are the things that I want to help you with. And that's why I'm here today. So that's the concept. How about taking the uncertainty of the future? I want to replace it with certainty. That's the concept. If I'm selling 401k plans, my job is to create an alternative income for you in the future that helps you maintain your lifestyle. If I'm selling annuities, I want to help you maximize growth by helping you reposition money into savings accounts that aren't taxable, that put you in a tax-controlled position. Because if you're not using your interest, why are you paying tax on it? So those are the concepts that you throw out there for your client to let them know. And I've got a super presentation I've trained brokers on called the P Cubed, which is perfect way to segment into any presentation that you're doing. The 3 Ps: protection, participation, predictable income. Guys, that's magic, and it works. So what is my concept? Explain the concept to your client. And guys, here's the good news. And I've done this for years, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that in my presentations, clients are sold, and potential prospects are sold in the concept. You've got to make your concept so irresistible that you persuade them to want to buy your product before even seeing the product. How many of us do that? We don't. And that's why you're here today, to learn these powerful concepts that will make you more persuasive. All right. Let's lead on from here into people. I don't know how many of you on the call have a short commercial about yourself, but you need to do that, because they need to know who are the people behind the concept, who are behind the product. And we've got a great story. And I'd recommend, number one, you have a short commercial, your background, but you also want to create what I call as a personal mission statement. And you need to make a copy of it and give it to your clients. Now, I did that when I was a broker, and I have a sample one that if you get contracted, I'll give you mine. And you can adapt it, but it needs to come from your heart, but at least it will give you a template to choose what you want to use. But I used to love it because it was like, I want to share with you why I'm in the business. I want to show you what my calling is. Who says that? That makes impact on people. They go, man, there's something different about this guy. Most brokers, most insurance guys, man, they're hawking products. This guy is giving me his mission statement. He's showing why he's doing this. I'm in this business to protect families, to make sure that life goes on. Man, that resonates with people, the kind of people that you want to work with. When I talk about our companies, for instance, I love to say that American National Life Insurance of Texas is a subsidiary of American National Life Insurance, which has been in business since 1905. Can you imagine working with older people and they know a company's been in business for 112 years with the same family, the Moody family? What does that tell you? That tells you somebody's doing something right. Also, the fact that 23% of our stock is owned by the Moody Foundation, which gives away $50 million a year to not-for-profit organizations within the state of Texas. Google it. It's an amazing story. And that story is your story. And that goodwill becomes your goodwill. And that equals persuasive power. It really does. So Google Moody Foundation. You'll see the wonderful work that's being done. $20 million was given to SMU for the Moody Coliseum. You got the Moody Communication Building at the University of Texas. You've got cancer research. We had over 68 students get scholarships to go to college for the Moody Scholarship Program. So, guys, there's some remarkable things going on that most guys are not even aware of. And I'm saying utilize that, because that's going to help you secure business. And more importantly, it reinforces the goodwill of the company. So who are the people behind the mission? You got a glimpse of it there. And then the product. Now, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I learned this from a guy named Nick Murray, who is a great security guy and just prolific writer. And what he said was this, that the product is simply a box that the solution to your client's problem comes in. Is that not beautiful? I got to tell you, I love that, because what it does is it minimizes product. Now, I'm going to give you a bold statement here, and insurance companies are not going to like this. My company's not going to like me telling you this, but this is truth, and it's this. If we were to debrief any of your clients in your book of business, and we were to ask them, why did you buy? Why did you buy that life insurance? Why did you buy that annuity? Why did you buy the health insurance? Why the pension plan? 88% of those people who responded would say, you ready for this? You. They bought it because of you. They bought it because you persuaded them. They bought it because they trusted you. They bought it because they like you. That is essential to know. 12% is the product. So knowing that kind of shaped my methodology to say that we need to be doing everything in our power to raise up the proficiency of the broker, because that is the most valuable asset we have. Not the product, it's the brokers that we bring on. Now, we want great products. This product here, in fact, the LGO, which I'm going to hopefully have a chance to work with you on, is a return of premium universal life plan. Well, think about that. Guys, the biggest objection we get from people is, I can't afford it. This doesn't cost you anything. This is money back. We're going to give, if you don't use this product, I'm going to give you back all your money 100% in 20 years or 25 years. I'm going to give you living benefits at no cost. Come on. This is an excellent product. And if you look, guys, when we get to the documentation stage, it looks very favorably. We're either 1 or 2 from 18 to 65 in the 250 and above. So, guys, take a look at that. This will put you in the limelight. So the product, and I always say that, take me 30 seconds to say this, but it will make impact on your clients. This is a strong guarantee, the strongest guarantees in the industry, backed by one of the strongest companies in the industry. $23 billion in assets with a 10% capital surplus. That's confidence for you, for American National. But the guarantees are these: guaranteed no lapse. I don't know how many of you did the UL, but you had to go back to your client. How many people have VULs that are crashing? Unfortunately, it's happening in the industry. This is if you pay your premium, this policy will not lapse. Guaranteed no lapse. Pay your premium first 10 years. You make your payments on a regular basis. This policy is guaranteed not to lapse. It's guaranteed death benefit to age 121 and guaranteed return of premium, partial in 15 years, full in 20 and 25 years. You want to see the product. If you got some rating issues, that can change things. But if you got a healthy person, we're your company for this product. So let's get back to persuasion. So think about that. I build rapport with my client. I've asked the correct questions. I've qualified them. Now I'm in the presentation stage where it starts with concept. Get them sold on the concept. Get them sold on the people backing up the mission and that concept, and then really understanding the product. But once again, I think we put too much emphasis on the product. We put too much of the time allocation into the product, whereas I think we can present a product in a respectful way and a shorter duration. The next part, as I mentioned, is the documentation. If you want to be persuasive, you need to document your claims. And the great profession, which is a great illustration, is the legal profession. When an attorney goes into a courtroom, what do they bring with them? Evidence, correct? And that's what you can do. When you're presenting whatever product you're presenting, have evidence. Now, am I a good trainer? Am I a good broker? Am I a good life insurance agent? Well, do I have letters of endorsement from people that are happy with me? Do we have articles backing up our claims? Do we have studies that show that what I'm telling you is backed up by somebody else? So we want to be able to document it. How do I document that this LGO product is outstanding? let's look at the quoting services. How can I back up the fact that our company is really outstanding? How about AM Best? How about Standards & Poor's? A-rated? Come on, A excellent? That tells you that it's a third party that's endorsing what I'm saying. It's reinforcing what I'm saying. So part of being persuasive is to be able to back up your arguments. You know, the other part I put in this presentation here is defending a position, which is what we want to do. And guys, I'm going to share something with you that you may or may not agree with, but it's something I've used all my career, and I've helped a lot of other people with this as well, knowing the pros and the cons. And when you can do that, you win their support. It makes you more persuasive. And here's what I like to say, and I hope you'll use it as well. Bob, I want you to know something, and this is coming from the heart, that if this is the right decision, I want you to make it. But if this is not the correct course of action, I don't want you to do it. Because number one, I want a long-term relationship with you. Secondly, my industry measures me on my persistency. So if I'm selling inappropriate products to people, my persistency is going to go down. I'm not going to have a job. So I am very diligent to make sure it is a fit between the product and the prospect. Guys, you have that type of attitude, I would say you will probably have zero complaints with the insurance commissioners. Do you agree with that? And the reason we get in trouble is, number one, we don't adequately cover liquidity needs, and we don't adequately understand the client and fit the right product with the client. So know the pros and cons. And of course, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to give you a fantastic close that works, so you can use a modification of either one. But here's how this one goes. When you've got a client, he's delaying or she's delaying for whatever reason, I always like to say this because it works. Let me ask you a question, Bob. If this turned out to be the right course of action, you do want to make it, don't you? And you're not in your head. You're not being manipulative, but you're not. They start to nod their head, they come along with it. Seriously. Because if this is the right course, we do want to do it, don't we? Absolutely. Let's do it together. And then you're working with them. That's professional persuasion. All right, as we move on, and guys, I want to thank you. I'm going to check here real quick, make sure we have everybody with us. Good. We've got a good turnout here, and that means a lot to me. I'm going to go ahead and check real quick for questions. Is a checklist available online? Thank you, Richard, for asking that, and it is. Our website, Moody Group Online. Once again, when you're contracted, you'll get a passcode each month, and that will give you access to everything that we have. So thank you for that question. And good. And appreciate the feedback here, guys. Excellent. Thank you. All right, man, we've got a bunch of active people here. I love this. This is what it's all about, guys. It's not just about product. It's about learning and growing. And then the other thing I want to share with you is, so let me go back here so we can really make impact. And that's articulating an argument, because that's what we have to do. And I studied a course called Argumentation. Guys, it's fascinating. I wrote about it in a book called The Construction of a Rainmaker. It should be out in the fall. But it really teaches you how to address arguments. And I've had people tell me, you don't argue with the client. No, you don't, but if it's a science, it is argumentation. And it's not really the words you say, it's how you say those words. And in some cases, I've been so bold to ask people, why do you feel that way? When somebody says something that is totally ridiculous or insulting to your industry, you've got to question them on it. You know, hey, Bob, why do you feel that way about insurance companies? And they tell you the stories, and then you can, once again, persuade them otherwise to give them a different vantage point. And what I used to do in a lot of cases was, if you've been abused or somebody took advantage, I want to get the information because I'm going to get it fixed. I'll call that company. We'll hold that agent accountable. Because once again, the things you value, you will protect, would you not? I agree with that 100%. I hope you do too. All right, as we're moving on, and we are concluding here pretty quick, just hang tough with me. It's a compromising stage. Now think about it. What you want to do is you want to execute every single one of these modules or stages, whatever you want to call them, but you want to do it sequentially. And when you do that, you know you're in perfect alignment to close the business. Are you not? Just based on what you've learned now is going to make you more effective. I really believe it. Next is compromising. Now, once again, I say compromising. I don't say it in a derogatory note, meaning that, hey, 1 and 1 equals half. But what I mean is we are working together. This is another stage that some people call overcoming objections. And I love objections. In fact, when I used to do wholesaling for a big investment company, I would host meetings with my broker's clients. And I actually would enjoy this part of it. And I would just say, hey, give me, are there any objections? Do you have any questions? When I work with brokers, I said, give me your worst objection you hear from your clients, and we'll answer it. Because I like the challenge. It's called paradoxical intention. Think about this for a second. Paradoxical intention means facing your biggest fear. And what's your biggest fear? Not knowing the answer to something. So you want to challenge yourself to say to yourself, I hope I get a question that I cannot answer. That's what I do. I say, I want to be stumped. I want somebody to totally humiliate me. And you know what happens? It doesn't happen. Because I faced my fear. Now, it will happen someday, sure. I mean, there'll be somebody who would have been on this workshop who says, I'm going to get this guy, and they're going to come up with something, which I think will be great. But the fact is we cannot have fear. You've got to drive out fear. And when you're persuasive, here's what happens. Your confidence replaces your fear. It really does. Because you know you have that ability. You have that skill set that will buoyant you in those turbulent waters. So we got to create synergy, and the way we create synergy with people is, number one, we don't get fixed on our own position. We focus on their interest. What do they want? What do you really want to happen? It's not about $100 a month premium. It's what do you want? I want to protect my family. All right, you want to protect your family? Well, in order to protect your family, to have the right amount of insurance is going to cost you $100. Now, I can build you an allocation, perhaps drive that cost down by using a variety of different insurance policies. But I'm not locked in. We're not going to walk away because it's a $100 premium. Do you follow me? So we've got to look at what they really want to accomplish, and let's help them get that. And we do that by creating synergy. Synergy means 1 + 1 = 5. We expand the pie because we're not locked into a position. That's the key. That's the takeaway here. And, another way to look at this is, guys, you're negotiators. I mean, when I'm in the compromising stage, I am negotiating with this person to the degree that we're going to do business. Are we going to do it all now? Are we going to do it incrementally? Are we going to cover the insurance first, the pensions, the health? What are we going to do first? Now, I wrote a book a while back, and a copy's available for you if you like. We can send you an ebook version of it called Income Engineering. And I love it because it creates financial education for your clients, and it creates a perfect atmosphere to cross-sell products. And that's another thing that I'm very strict on is let's leverage every relationship that we have. If you have one product with one client, you're at risk. So you got to bring them in, another product. If I sold you life insurance, natural inclination is annuities. If I'm going to protect you against dying too soon, should I protect you against living too long? And vice versa. So it all works together. We want to develop win-win relationships. This goes back to what I said earlier. If this is not a good decision, I don't want you to do this. And you have to tell your client that. If this is going to be economically imposing on you, let's don't do it. Because I don't want you under stress. I want you to be able to maintain this. How about we go half the amount? You want to try that? And I said, yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. And you're working with that person. And that is the key to long-term relationships. Discovering ways for mutual gain, we talked about that, and that's what we want to do. We want to be that kind of outer-directed individual that's poised, confident, at the same time puts the client ahead of our own needs, and that takes discipline. I learned this from Dr. William Ury, who wrote a book called Getting to Yes. Amazing guy. He basically was helping train U.S. diplomats because we were so lousy at cutting deals, and we still are. So they teach you how to do that. And so I use this as part of the sales training with our brokers. one of them is called the BATNA. It's an acronym. It stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. Now, what I like about that is that we never want to put everything on the line. Clients have to realize that you can walk away and your lifestyle is not going to change one iota. Isn't that strange? That the more you want it, the less likely you're going to get it. I always say it's almost like a bank loan. Do you agree with this? When you don't need the money, people want to give you money. When you need it, you can't get it. Isn't that the way it works? And so once again, we've got to illustrate to our clients that we're successful people, that we want to help them, but hey, if they decide not to, no big deal, life goes on, and we move on from there. So have a backup plan, and that's why you want to have so many people in the pipeline that you don't worry about one particular situation. Independent standards. We make a claim, we want to show another party that believes it, and that's when I use the example of AM Best or Standards & Poor's, quoting services, documenting that we are one of the most competitive companies in the industry at this stage with return of premium UL. Third-party endorsement also is very important. All right, now here's the fun part, guys. I know this is something you've been waiting for. This is probably one of my favorite topics because I have so many brokers who say, I get to this point and I crash. I literally crash. And that's the completion stage, closing. This is what differentiates professionalism from part-time people. And let me just, and I'm not going to insult anybody. I want to be very careful what I say here. But to me, if I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe, remember, think about it. Now I'm going to go back on this course here, and we're going to do this together, but think about it. I got to know this person. I understand them. I built rapport with them. I've asked them questions. I've qualified them. I've gone through the product with them. I've explained everything. I got their feedback all along the way, which is part of the persuasion process. Do you see the benefits of this? Let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions. Can you see how buying insurance is going to help your family? Do you see how having this death benefit can help you later on in case you have a terminal illness? Yes. Can you see how, God forbid, you ever need long-term care, you now have the money to be able to pay for that within this one premium? Yes. Can you see how if you're out of work based on a debilitating type condition like a stroke or a heart attack that you have money to maintain your lifestyle? Yes. Can you see the strength of the company? Yes. Do you see the value that I bring? Yes. They bought. So summation of all the minor agreements. So if that happens, then 35% of your closes are going to be assumption closes. You just assume. And it used to be funny because when I used to train brokers, I'm not kidding. This is the truth. I would sell the people. They would sign the application. And as we're walking out, invariably I'd have one of the guys who was with me say, "You never ask them to buy." I said, "I know." How did they sign? I mean, to me, that is kind of the magic of persuasion. You don't have to ask. You assume. And I assume by simply asking them a question that's on the application. What's your address? What's your social security number? If they answer that question, they bought. That's it. That's the secret. And then you basically just come. You don't change your tempo. What a lot of brokers that I've worked with, what they do, and this is to a detriment to the entire presentation, is I'm talking to you in this tone, right? We're working through everything, and then I get to a close, and then all of a sudden I've changed my whole tempo. So, okay, let me get the application here. What do you think? Do you have any? Somehow we change. No, that's the wrong way. You want to keep a constant flow throughout the presentation. Same tones, same voice, inflections, the way you articulate things. You keep it the same in every single stage, right? Even the completion stage. So once again, the assumption. I would say, and this is based on experience, 35% will basically, they'll be closed in the assumption stage. Next is alternative of choice. This is an easy one. Guys, this is ABCs of closing. You know, you've heard that 1,000 times, but it's true. Sometimes we need to be reminded versus educated. Alternative close. This is my favorite. I do this in 401ks when I'm working with brokers. your statement. You know, we're going to send you out a quarterly statement. Do you want that sent to your office or to your home? Send it to my office. Great. What's that address? They bought, period. So if they answer that question, alternative choice, they own the product. It's excellent. Benjamin Franklin. How many people on this call have heard of Benjamin Franklin? I got to tell you this is true, and that's why I like the fact that you're on it, because I think every one of you relate to what I'm saying. I mean, because we're cut from the same cloth. We are. And I love it when I'm doing a Benjamin Franklin. When I was a broker, I would do the Benjamin Franklin. I loved it. I learned this from a guy named Tom Hopkins, who wrote a book called Mastering Self. Just brilliant guy, and I had a chance to meet him when he was in Houston back when I was just in my 20s, and just really inspired me. But one of the things about that is when you do it to other people who've been trained in, they go, "Oh, you're going to do the Benjamin Franklin?" I said, "Yes." Don't you think that's the most effective? It is. Well, let's do it. Okay, so we would do it, and then those agents would say, "Oh, Benjamin Franklin, no big deal." I said, "Do you use it?" "No, but I've heard about it." Why wouldn't you use it? Do you close 100% of your cases? No. Why would you not use it? The Benjamin Franklin is probably the most innovative way to do it, but I'm going to share with you a way to do it today because you've spent this time with me. I try to keep these within an hour, and I hope we're almost right at the end, so this is going to be perfect. Here's how I do Benjamin Franklin's, and it's very effective. But you basically get their commitment. Number one, if this is a good decision, you do want to make it, don't you? Get their commitment. Yes, you do. Well, I've got a way we can help you. Because, frankly, I want you to make the right decision. If it's not the right decision, I'm ready to go. Because I don't want you to do something you don't want to do, or that's not right for you. So you take a piece of paper, you do a T, you write the reasons for, the reasons against. Everybody knows that. But here's what they don't know. You don't write it out. You focus and you remember the reasons why they want to do it. Now, it's called the support system. Now, follow me carefully. This is worth the time we spent together. The support system. This is profound. It is so subtle, but it's powerful in the persuasion process. The support system is this. When you say something that moves me closer to closing the sale, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to show you through my body language, through my voice, my support for you. If you say something that takes me away from that, which is negative or pessimistic about the decision, I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to contract. I'm going to move away from you. Do you realize that? And I do that with my body. I kind of turn, stay silent, move away. Guys, it works. So, once again, I'm going to support you. Now, Benjamin Franklin, I actually am able to use the support system in this, and that's what is innovative about it. When it comes to first, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do the program? And I've had brokers launch in, you want to do it because of this, this, and this? No. It's their turn. Let me ask you a question. Let's talk about the reasons for doing it. Why would you want to get the LGO, the return of premium UL? Why? And they're going to tell you, well, I like the fact I get my money back. Okay, great. Let me put a check here. So money back. What else? The living benefits, man, that's pretty cool. I never knew that companies could do that. I never knew I could get to my death benefit before dying. That is unique. Fantastic. But remember, it's terminal, critical illness, and chronic. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What else? Strong company. Good. Okay, what else? Premiums are pretty reasonable. Good. Got it. Boom. What else? I have choices in it. Okay, yeah, you do have a choice. You can take a death benefit to age 95 or 100 or 105 or 121, and that does lower the premium. Yeah, absolutely. I like the fact that I have a choice of when I get my money back. I can get it a partial in 15 years or full in 20 and 25. I like that. Or I can continue it and not have to prove insurability. Absolutely, you can. All right. What else? More importantly, my family's protected. That gives me peace of mind. Great, let's put that. Okay, now we go on and on, but let's go ahead and stop there. What is that? That looks like it's 7. Okay, now watch this, guys. You got to lower your voice a little bit, and you got to say, now, why wouldn't you want to do it? And then you pull away. What I do is I kind of hang my head, and I look at the paper, waiting for them. I don't look at them. I don't encourage them. I put my head down, and I put my pen where the cons are, the reason why you don't want to do it. And I've had people actually tell me this. They go, "You're not going to help me?" I'm going to say, "Nah, I apologize. I think it's a good decision." you know, and it kind of breaks the ice a little bit. And then they buy, or they say, I said, "No, really, let's do this right. Why would you want to do it? I want to know. What would prevent you from doing this?" And they'll tell you. Some of the stuff is I just got to check my budget, or I want to shop around. What I used to do, and this is very smart, and I can help you with this as well, competitive analysis. I used to have a book of my competition, and they would say, I kind of wanted to shop around a little bit because this is the first time I've even heard about this type of program. And I said, "Really, what company are you looking at?" I've got a book here. We can go through it, and we would. And then a lot of times I could overcome that objection. So once again, the support system. Great takeaway, guys. They say something that takes you closer to your goal. Boom, you support them. They don't. You move away. You withdraw your support. Now, that's a Benjamin Franklin. Summation gives you a chance to go back over. You told me that you were looking for ways to protect your family. You're looking for ways to lower your premium. You're looking for ways to expand your benefits, or whatever it is. And then you basically you summarize all that, showing that this product will accomplish what you want to do. Lastly, guys, is the golden goose. Now, I think this is worth $250,000. What I'm about to tell you will make you that much money if you utilize it. Now, let me check and see who's all with us. Have we lost anybody? Let me see here. And yes, we have. We lost just a few people, but that's okay. They're going to miss out on this powerful thing. It's called the golden goose. Now, how many people have heard of the golden goose? If you have, indicate that on the questions here before I launch into this. Okay, let's take a look. How many people have heard about it? Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got here. Okay, good. A lot of people have. Okay, John has heard it. Good. So, John, I'm going to unmute you, and I'm going to let you perform this. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate this. A lot of nice comments here. All right, let's do the golden goose. Now, this is the last resort, meaning that I have used all of these closes on this person, and I always thank people. Hey, thank you for taking time out, and it appears to me that right now you feel maybe it's not the perfect time to embark on this endeavor. Is that correct? Okay. And I get their feedback, and I'm putting stuff away, act like I'm leaving. And not being manipulative, of course, because I am about to leave. But before I do, I got to get the application filled out. So what you do is you turn to them and say, "Hey, listen, before I go, let me ask you just a quick question. If you had a goose that could lay golden eggs, and you had some golden eggs, and you had to invest in one or the other, what would you do? Would you invest in the goose or the eggs? What would you say?" Most people would say the goose. Why? Because the goose can lay more golden eggs, correct? Well, that's absolutely right. So in this case, let's assume that the client said goose. Well, I'm not asking to make an investment in this product. I'm asking to make an investment in you, because you are the goose that lays the golden eggs. So in other words, anything that's going to help you is probably the best investment you could ever make in your life. Do you agree with that? What I'm talking about here is ensuring the thing that you love the most, which is your family. I'm talking about protecting you in case of disability, terminal illness, protecting you, because everything you do in life is a result of your productivity, is it not? And I want to protect you. What's your Social Security number? Guys, that is magic. And when you can say it with sincerity, and you're looking in their eyes, it's just magic. You can't say no to that. It works. And lastly, and this is something most insurance don't say, and I'm going to give you the words because this solidifies the deal. You look at them and you say these words. You will always be glad that you bought this life insurance. Thanks for your confidence. I won't let you down. And you do it. You knock it out. Let me ask you a question. Who has ever regretted buying life insurance? Who truly bought it for the right reasons? So you got a rare opportunity. So I want to thank everybody. I hope this was helpful. And like I said, we tried to kind of shy away from products, but I did want to share a little bit with the product, the LGO. And I care about every one of you. I want to see you successful. So what I'm going to do is probably reach out to you maybe toward the end of the week. Well, actually, first part of next week. We're already on Thursday. But I want to reach out. I want to learn about your practice. I want to see how we could work together, how I can help you get to that next level. And I feel very confident we can do that. And we'll go from there. So take care. God bless. And if you want to call us, feel free. 800-252-4002. My extension is 118. The best way, though, if you will, is just email me at jamesr@moodygroup.com. Let me know what part of this presentation you liked. If you want to get contracted, love to work with you. We do one-on-one coaching. We do study groups. I do client meetings. We have a whole array of value added to help you practice and help you. So take care. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.